Former Ombudsman Martires. Pinagmukhang tanga si Boying. Ay, nako po. Grabe, ang lapit ng mga banat dito ni former Ombudsman Martires dito sa kay Ombudsman Boying Rimulya. Hindi daw pala talaga kaya ang gampanan ni Boying Rimulya ang pagiging ombudsman niya. Ang lupit talaga. So, siyempre, bago yan, paki-like and share tong video natin at may papakita ako sa inyong video. Ano to latest interview po ito. Neto ni former Ombudsman Martires. Itong ipapanood ko sa inyo, hindi yung una niya. Oo, hindi yung sinasabi niya na puro puro pa-meeting. Etong si Remulla. At ang masama pa dito, tatakbo atang Vice President pala tong si Remulla. Ba, tatakbo ka palang Vice President Di mo kami ni-inform, ma'am. So dito muna tayo. Yan. Dito kasi, etong di pala, mas maganda kung, saan na yan? Saan yan? Wala, di ko makita. Nako, nabura ko na ata. Sige, dito muna tayo. Dito kasi, etong si Ombudsman Remulla to reinvestigate drug war deaths under the Duterte. So, ang trabaho ng ombudsman ngayon ay magukay ng mga kaso na para may maibato sa mga Duterte. So, ganyan ho kalala ngayon. Pero dito, ang pinakamalapit dito, may papakita ko sa inyo. May papakita ko sa inyo na post na talagang supalpal itong si Remulla. Wait lang Ito, lakihan natin. Itinago ko na lang po yung pangalan kasi syempre para safety po yung nag-comment. Ito kasi sa post ng sa comment doon sa Rappler, nakita ko ito. Sabi dito, hitman talaga ang conpin paste na itong drug case. Ba't di mo unahin ang anak mo? Pati ang alitagtag wala nang nakita ang driver. Pati ang drug na kuno nahuli pero anomalya sa flood control wala kang sinasabi. Punyeta ka. Punyeta talaga. Etong mukhang ataol. Etong mukhang ataol na to nagpapalapad ng papel sa amo niyang bangag na si BBM para siyang gawing kandidato pagka-presidente ni Bangag sa 2028. Maambisyon din ang tarantadong mukhang patay na to. Grabe ka naman, te. Grabe ka naman kay Remulla. Magaling na daw siya sa cancer. Oo, pero ang cancer bumabalik yan Ay, sorry. Alam nyo, kaya ko to talagang pinakita sa inyo. Kasi may punto siya Una-una, yung anak ni Remulla, 'di ba, sangkot sa illegal na 'di ba nahuli yan na may dalang marijuana. At kaagad na na nakalaya. At ang malupit pa dito, kung usapang war on drug lamang, 'di ba ipinagmayabang ni Marcos Jr. at ni Abalos na ang pinakamalaking nahuli nilang sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas ay yung nangyari sa Alitagtag, Batangas na isang tao lang ang may dala-dala ng 13 billion na pulburon. Bakit may punto siya rito, bakit hindi mo imbestigahan yon? At kung ano na nga ba ang balita doon sa driver na yun? Yun ba ay nakulong? Yun ba ay nagsabi na kung sino yung boss niya, kung sino yung drug, kung saan galing yung 13 billion na pulburon? Kasi dapat talagang malaman at makita ng taong bayan yung mapatungkol doon kasi una-una pinagyabang nyo, 'di ba? 13 billion. Pinakamalaking nahuling droga sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Tapos bigla na lang nawala yun. na di umano ay nahuli sa checkpoint na hindi nga makapagsalita yung pulis doon. Natatandaan nyo ba yun na tinapik-tapik pa ni Marcos yung pulis para lang magsalita? Tapos yung tawag dito, yung droga, mga ilang araw naging 9 billion na lang. Ang masaklap dito, biglang pinasarado ho yung investigasyon doon. Biglang nawala rin yung wala na tayong update doon sa driver. Wala nang update kung sino yung pinaka drug lord noong pulburon na yon, ng droga na yon. 'Di ba? So dito may punto siya. Ngayon dito nalaman natin na maaaring tumakbo pala sa hindi lang pala vice president, kundi presidente itong si Remulla. Kaya naman pala todo preskon, no? Gusto magpaano sa tao. Sa bagay, dito relto ka. Lahat naman ng mga nasa gobyerno, kahit nga ako gusto kong maging presidente. Balang araw eh. Pag naging presidente ako, ubusin ko lahat talaga ng addict tsaka pusher drug lord dito sa Pilipinas. Pati itong mga corrupt na to, papabaril ko to dun sa lunete. Kahit naman din ako, pangarap ko maging presidente. Hindi pa tayo sumusuko dyan. Wala namang masamang mangarap. Si Remulla, yung magkapatid na Remulla, si Torre, di ba? Si Torre nga may ambisyon na maging vice president. Di ba? So kahit naman sino, kahit sa Senado, sa Congressman, sa Kamara, sa Congress, lahat yan may mga ambisyon yan sa tawag dito, sa pagiging presidente ng bansang Pilipinas o kaya vice president. Lahat naman yan, wala tayong kailangan dyan. At malaya naman na kahit sinong tao na mangarap at gustong gawin or gusto niyang gawin na tumakbo siya bilang presidente sa darating na 2028. Ang problema kasi dito kay Remulla, yung dapat na trabaho ng isang ombudsman, hindi niya ginagawa. O kagaya na lang nitong sinabi ni Martires. Dito, eto nagmumukhang tanga ang bagong ombudsman. Payo ko kay Ombudsman Remulla, kung nakinig ka, magtrabaho ka, tigilan mo ang halos araw-araw na presscon. Biro mo, hindi mo alam anong purpose sa isang kaso. Kaya kung minsan nagmumukhang tanga yung ombudsman. Sapul sa panga. Di totoo lang, nakakatawa lang din talaga ngayon. First time ever ata na pinagtatawanan ng ombudsman ngayon. Kaya no? Atitis nila yun. Atitis nila yung ganun. Na sila feeling nila, ang tali-talino nila, ang galing-galing nila. Pero sa totoo lang, sobrang boplak nila. Wala akong, eto pa rin pag-usapan natin to, wala akong cancer. Bakit? Kailan siya babalik? Ay, naku. Ito maganda tong sinabi dito Sabi ni Samuel Martires, hindi tungkulin ng ombudsman ang araw-araw na presscon. Para masabing ito ang ginagawa ko na ipahayag sa mga tao na nilagdaan ko ang kasulatan or kautusan sa pagpapatalsik kay Sen Juan de la Cruz. Marahil ang aking kalahi ngayon ay ginawa ito, pero ako ayokong magpasikat kapalit ng dangal ng mga taong hindi pa hinahatulan ng korte. Tama. Ang nangyayari kasi ngayon, parang wala nang pakialam tong si Remulla sa batas ng sa decision ng korte. Parang gusto niya siya na lang lahat eh. 'Di ba? Parang gusto niya siya na lang lahat eh. Ito, panoorin natin tong bagong interview. Kakatapos lang itong interview na to ni Congressman Martires. Ito On point, the fight versus corruption. Ang title nitong live na to. Ngayon lang ho yan. Ngayon lang po yung pag-upo ko na pag-upo. So ito, panoorin natin.
Samuel Martires. Sir, good to see you again. It's been a long time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
How have you been? I know that there's been some interviews with you, as even here this morning.
The Case Complaints and Case Monitoring System, CCMS. Once a complaint is filed before the Office of the Ombudsman, the Central Records Division would immediately encode that complaint into the system. And then the complaint undergoes what we call the case evaluation. After the case evaluation, if the recommendation is for fact-finding investigation, it is referred to the two bureaus of the Field Investigation Office. If the recommendation is to have the case immediately subject to preliminary investigation, it is given to the Preliminary Investigation Office. It is raffled. Okay.
After that, raffled.
After that, raffled to a particular investigator. In the case of Joel Villanueva, at the time of Justice Carpio Morales, Justice Morales issued a decision sometime, I think, during the last week or last few days of October. She issued a decision dismissing Joel Villanueva from the service. That decision of Justice Morales, immediately Joel Villanueva, within the 10 days prescriptive period, filed this motion for reconsideration. Per the records that was given to me, Joel Villanueva received a copy of the dismissal order on November 2, 2016. On November 7, 2016, he filed his motion for reconsideration. Unknown probably to Ombudsman Morales, she did not act on that motion for reconsideration. I do not blame her for that. Because when a motion for reconsideration is filed, the Ombudsman does not know anything about it. It goes immediately, it is filed with the Central Records Division. The Central Records Division forwards it together with the records to the handling investigator. So unless the handling investigator will notify his or her director and the assistant ombudsman concerned, and the assistant ombudsman will tell the ombudsman will not know anything about it.
Okay.
The only reason I discovered about this motion for reconsideration is that about a few months after I assumed office in 2018, I asked for a ombudsman-wide inventory of cases.
What is that?
I have to inventory all pending cases before the office of the ombudsman. So doon namin nakita, mayroon pa ng pending motion for reconsideration.
So this is already in 2018?
2018.
That's right, okay.
Okay. So I asked my assistants to have this to follow up this motion for reconsideration. Another case is similarly situated. The motion for reconsideration was finally recommended for approval on July 31, 2019 by the Graft Investigation Officer. Then it was approved by the director of the Bureau and recommended to me for approval sometime in, I think, July.
That cannot be. You said July 31, 2019, there was a decision. And it was asked for your approval. It cannot be in July 2. Hindi pwede.
No,
Sabi niyo po July 31 yung
No,
decision.
July 31 is the date when the Graft Investigation Officer finalized.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, July 31. The Assistant Ombudsman forwarded the same to me September, August, July. I think a few days after it was submitted to her, And then I approved it sometime in September of 2019. 2016, I think I approved it, and then on 2017, we informed the Senate of the existence of the...
Sorry, sir. Sorry, medyo nagkakagulo na po tayo sa dates. This is very important because there's, I think, a prescriptive period by which a ruling, an MR, has to be resolved.
Yes.
This is very important because basically from your last statement, you said that there was a finalized decision on July 31, 2019. Tapos pagkatapos sabi niyo po, you must have decided on this sometime September 2019.
Approved.
Approved, okay. Kasi bumalik po kayo sa 2018. Okay, approved on 2019. All right,
2019.
September, and then, that's it.
That's it.
Okay. September 19 would be the date that the MR was decided upon, wherein you reversed the decision of the former ombudsman.
Yes.
Is this well within the 2-year prescriptive period by which an MR should
There is no
resolve?
prescriptive
There's
period
none, sir.
in the Office of the Ombudsman. This is the problem, actually. The Office of the Ombudsman is just performing executive functions. We call it executive functions because it only conducts preliminary investigation. The Office of the Ombudsman is not a regular court. The prescription of the Constitution that cases must be decided, speedy disposition of cases must be decided, refers to cases pending before the courts.
And this is not a court. The ombudsman,
The
is not a court.
is a court.
Okay.
The ombudsman is just like the prosecutors of the Department of Justice. Okay. The one who said it should be decided within 2 years is not the law. It is the Supreme Court and its decision. That the ombudsman, any decision of the ombudsman beyond the 2-year period is considered as inordinate delay. Okay. Funny thing is, last year, or I think this year,
Sorry, sir. Were you a member of the Supreme Court when it ruled that any decision by the Supreme Court must be, the ombudsman must be decided upon within the 2-year period, otherwise kung hindi po ay inordinate delay?
inordinate delay.
Miyembro mo ba kayo ng Supreme
Not yet.
Court?
No, it all started with the TATAD doctrine.
Okay.
TATAD has 3 years. The ombudsman was given by the Supreme Court 3 years to complete its preliminary investigation. Then, in Kagang, I think, I was member of the court, but I refused to sign. I think it went to 2 years.
Okay.
But this is a Supreme Court decision telling the ombudsman what to do.
And is
Okay?
that wrong?
If the Supreme Court says in one case that it cannot, there is no inordinate delay with respect to decisions or preliminary investigations of the Department of Justice, then why is it that it is wrong for the ombudsman, to go beyond the 2-year period? Okay. You cannot compare cases before the Office of the Ombudsman with cases pending before the Department of Justice. In the Department of Justice, they have murder cases, homicide, staffa. At best or at most, they will be having only about 10 or 20 documents. In Ombudsman, when you're investigating a violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, you're talking of hundreds of documents. And a prosecutor is not focused on that particular case. He has other assigned cases. Take a case of family. There are, I think, about 10,000 pages. You have to review each and every voucher with respect to the transactions in family. Who are the signatories? What is the amount involved? So magkaiba yung ginagawa sa ombudsman sa preliminary investigation kaysa ginagawa sa DOJ. Document-laden ang mag-imbestiga ng graft cases. When I was not yet with the Office of the Ombudsman, I had the same question, ba't ang tagal? Especially when I was still with the Sandigan Bayan, I always ask the prosecutors, ba't bang tagal ng inyong investigasyon kasi? Kaya kayo na inordinate delay. I did not understand. I only came to understand when I was appointed as ombudsman.
But then
Ganun pala.
it's almost, sir, as if you're not following or you're not in agreement with what the Supreme Court said, that more than 2 years is it's inordinate delay. Does it mean that just because nag-ombudsman kayo, ay biglang hindi nyo na po susundin si Supreme Court?
Sinusunod namin. Ang problema is pabago-bago rin ang desisyon ng Supreme Court. Sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 1 year. I think depending on the mood of the justices. I'm sorry to say those things. I might be cited in contempt by the Supreme Court, but that's true. They can look into the decisions on inordinate delay.
So are you saying, Ombudsman, that the Supreme Court at times decides that 2 years is inordinate delay, and then sometimes they'll say that 1 year is inordinate delay? The reason I'm asking that is because it's as if there's no clear and cut decision by the Supreme Court. That's at
Apparently.
least what I'm getting from you.
Apparently. I'll give you a case. The case of, I think, Philcoa, involving Danding Coanco and others. The case was brought to the Supreme Court 30 years ago on certiorari. So the one that was pending before the Office of the Ombudsman at the time of Justice Carpio Morales, they decided to archive the case because there is the case before the Supreme Court was not moving. Then about last year, the Supreme Court said, there is no case. The Ombudsman must now dismiss the case because it has been sleeping in the Office of the Ombudsman for 30 years. Hindi ho sa Ombudsman natulog yung kaso sa Supreme Court. Sino kami para lumaban sa Supreme Court?
So ibig sabihin, yung ang ombudsman ay nakadepende at nag-aantay lang din pala sa kung ano man yung magiging desisyon ng Supreme Court. Tama nga naman, may punto rito si Martires na anong laban namin sa Supreme Court? Ikataas-taasan nga yan eh. 'Di ba? Ombudsman lang ako.
That is it.
Okay. Let's go back to this case, sir. Because if I were to go back to October 2016, decision of Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, nag-MR po si Senator Joel Villanueva within 10 days. He received it November 2, nag-MR po siya November 7. So we'll stop the clock there at November 7, 2016. This is important, sir, because basically the decision of the Ombudsman yourself was finalized September 2019.
2019.
Ibig sabihin po, 3 taon ito, more or less. 2 years.
3 taon natulog sa Ombudsman. But not during my time.
Yes, kasi 2018 po kayo
Pumasok, oo.
Okay. Pero ibig ko sabihin, in terms of this inordinate delay na 2 years supposed to be, now you're saying there are other decisions. If we were to understand the 2-year inordinate delay, lumampas na po ito sa 2 years between you and the former Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales. Would that be correct, sir?
Well, I don't think we will fall under that category of inordinate delay. Why? Because the decision is favorable to Joel Villanueva. So Joel Villanueva will not be crazy enough to go up to the Supreme Court and say,
There's inordinate delay.
there is inordinate delay, so my case should be dismissed. Dinismiss na ng Ombudsman.
All right. So, kasi sa kanya manggagaling yung question on
Yes.
inordinate delay, the person who is the subject of the case. So, let's go back to the question on the issue on secret decision. Bakit ho ba, alam ko po sinagot nyo na to, pero kailangan lang pong ulitin, why was this not publicized?
Okay. The Constitution says that
Ito maganda to.
matters or decisions arising from cases that were investigated by the Ombudsman has to be publicized under certain circumstances. That is also what the Ombudsman Act says, that under circumstances, the Ombudsman shall publish the decisions. So who decides under what circumstances, under what conditions must the Ombudsman? So meaning to say, this is the discretion of the Ombudsman when he is going to publish a particular decision.
Why did you decide not to publish it?
Well, I really don't know why I did not decide to have it published. That's about 9 years ago. I really can't remember why, but there must have been some reason why I did not have it published, because I never really have any decision published, and these reporters would ask me about a particular case, and Kasi
Yun lang.
minsan mga reporter may mga tips sila eh. Justice,
Doon kaya yariin ng mga ano diyan, ng mga supporters ni Remulla. Yung sinabi mo na hindi mo na matandaan kung anong naging dahilan mo bakit mo tinago itong usapin na to.
tapos na raw ang decision sa ganito. So I will check and sasabihin nila, can we have a copy of the decision? I will ask the Media Bureau, give them a copy of the decision.
But this is a high-profile case, sir. You obviously know that. Ibabalik po yung tanong sa inyo na ombudsman kayo eh. Tanod bayan kayo eh. Kayo dapat ang nag-check ng corruption dito po sa mga elected officials. This is a case supposedly of
O yun naman pala eh. O yan sinabi na ni Pinky yung papel ng isang ombudsman. So Remulla, kamusta na si Martin Romualdez? Kamusta na si Marcos Jr.? Galaw-galaw ha.
PDAF scam, not supposedly, it's the PDAF scam, it's a pork barrel scam to the tune of 10 million pesos that was supposedly, well, hindi po
Tangina,
nagamit
no?
sa tama.
Sa totoo lang, ganito, hindi ko naman sinasabing huwag panagutin. At wala naman yan sa laki ng pera. Pero kung iisipin nyo trilyon ang usapan na ninakaw ni Martin Romualdez. Bilyon ang ninakaw, bilyong-bilyon ang ninakaw ni Saldico. Pero saan nakapokus ang media ngayon? Kayo tanungin ko, di ba sa 30 million ni Chis Escudero? At dito ngayon sa 10 million ni Senator Joel Villanueva. Parang ang weird lang na bakit ganun hindi man lang pinapansin ng ibang mga mainstream media yung mapatungkol sa trilyon na ninakaw ni Martin Romualdez sa flood control scam. Tapos hindi nga nila ma-interview din. Dapat ini-interview niyo si Martin Romualdez dyan. Kaso lalabas na bias ang bilyonaryo kasi isa rin siya sa nagmamayari niya, no? Ano lang bakit kailangan pang bigyan ng highlights yung mga ganitong issue? Dapat ang binibigyan talaga at pinagtutuunan ng pansin ngayon yung trilyones na ninakaw ni Martin Romualdez at ni Saldico. Nakapo 10 million lang to. So, unang-una, nakailang interview na to mapatungkol dito. Sinagot na rin niya ni Senator Villanueva. Pinakita niya yung tawag dito, yung ebidensya niya na eto nga at doon napatunayan natin na boplak si Remulla na hindi niya pala alam yung kaso na yon. Ngayon, ang nangyari dito, mali din kasi din ito ni Martires ni Samuel Martires. Nung sinabi ni Remulla na dapat hindi daw sinisikreto yon, kaagad siyang nagsalita. Dapat hinayaan niya lang. Kasi tignan nyo, nakakuha tuloy ng panibagong technique etong administrasyon para matabunan na naman yung nangyaring katangahan ni Remulla. 'Di ba? Bigla siya sinampal nung niya, yung sinabi niya na niya daw si Joel, dismiss na pala yun. So napahiya siya. Dapat yun ang ngayon yun ang ina-highlights ng ibang media. Hindi ito. Yung kay Joel na 10 million. Ang tagal-tagal na yan 'Di ba? O sabihin na natin, sige. Niya, kung gusto mo, ipabalik mo na lang kay Joel Villanueva, kasuhan na lang. Wala nang interview. Pero dapat ang natin, bakit hindi alam ni Remulla na ganun? Ba't hindi muna nagbabasa, nag-aaral etong si Remulla bago magsalita? Kasi napahiya talaga siya dun Oo. Ito lang, para sa akin, mas maganda siguro kung hindi na lang to sinagot ni Martires. Pero okay na rin siguro isang beses na sagutin mo. Ito kasi pangalawang live na to, pangalawang interview na to
In the same manner that the corruption scandal, the flood control scandal is taking center stage right now. In other words, Ombudsman, it's a big case. It's Joel Villanueva, it's Senator Joel Villanueva why didn't you just publicize it? Because pag kayo po ay natanggal na doon, magtataka din po, didn't you think this was going to happen? Na bigla na lang po, sandali lang, ba't kaya hindi sinabi ni Ombudsman Samuel Martires na na-reverse na yung decision kay Senator Joel Villanueva?
I really don't know the reasons why I did not have it published. But siguro naging ugali ko na hindi ako mahilig mag-publish ng mga decisions ko. Probably that's my temperament as a...
Saka siguro, hindi naman ata labag sa batas yun. Diba? Yung ginawa ni Martires. Ewan ko lang ha.
member of the judiciary. But looking back, I don't think there is a necessity to publish this. Because, you know, the critics of Joel Villanueva will not really believe the defenses of Joel Villanueva. In much the same way that Justice Carpio Morales also did not believe in the defenses of Joel Villanueva. He raised two defenses. One, the signature is forged, and the other one is he is not a member of the Buhay Party List. Paano namin kukontrahin yung findings ng question documents of the National Bureau of Investigation? The National Bureau of Investigation says the signatures are not similar. It's forged. Do I have to hire an expert to just say that is not a forged signature? This is no longer prosecution. This is persecution.
All right. And Ombudsman, we just need to take a very short break. We'll be right back.
So yan, no? Yung interview dito kay former Ombudsman Martires. So dito, ang nakita natin dito kasi, kagaya ng sinabi niya rito sa video to na hindi kasi ako pala hindi ko lang alam kung bawal ba yan sa batas or nasa batas ba yan, paglabag ba yan sa pagiging ombudsman na hindi mo inilabas. Pero kung hindi naman, hindi natin dapat i-big deal yan. Kasi alam naman na natin na itong si Remulla, kagaya ng kaninang binasa natin, kagaya nga ho dito, sa unang binasa natin, na may may plano siyang tumakbo sa 2028. Ngayon, kapag ikaw kasi may plano ka sa mas mataas na posisyon, lalong-lalo na yung pagiging presidente or vice president or senador, kailangan mo talaga palagi ng exposure. Kailangan mo laging napapanood ka, nakikita ka. Kailangan laging matunog ang pangalan mo. So, yun yung nakikita natin kay Ombudsman Remulla. Yung pagiging epal niya. Ngayon, etong si Martires, sa totoo lang, kahit ako, hindi siya masyadong familiar sa akin. Pero nakikita at naririnig ko na siya, pero hindi siya masyadong kasi nga, hindi siya madalas na nakikita natin sa mga interview. Hindi siya madalas na napapanood natin. Hindi katulad ng ginagawa ni Remulla ngayon na maya't maya yung press con. Kulang na lang i-press con niya pati yung pagtae niya. Kung dilaw ba to o itim, kung baka mamaya yung lamang loob niya na yung dinudumi niya. So so palaging gano'n. Yun yung pinagkaiba ni Remulla at ni Martires. Ngayon ulitin ko, kung labag man sa batas yung ginawa ni Martires na tinago yung about doon sa kaso ni Senator Joel Villanueva, dapat niya talagang ipaliwanag at kailangan niyang pag-anuhan yun kasi lumabag siya sa batas. Pero kung hindi naman, sabi ko nga sa inyo, napakadaming pwedeng pag-usapan. Eto, ulitin ko, dito na lang sa mensahe na to, yung anak ni Remulla at yung Alitagtag Batangas na pinakamalaki sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas na nahuli. 13 billion na drugs ang nahuli sa Alitagtag Batangas checkpoint. Ang tanong pa dito, asan na yung driver doon? Nakulong ba? Yung driver ba, napaamin ba kung sino yung may-ari ng 13 billion na pulburon? Diba? So yan yan yung isa dapat na mas ano na ngayon, mas malaman natin kung saan galing yun. At may nanagot ba? Kaso ang nangyayari, nakatutok lang ho tayo kay Chis Escudero, kay Atayde, kay Villanueva, kay Jinggoy. 'Di ba? Doon sa totoo lang yung issue kay Martin Romualdez natatabunan na eh. Oo. 'Di ba? Wala na halos. Yung mga witness, hindi na pwedeng maging witness. 'Di ba? Ngayon hawak pa sila ng DILG. So yung tipong masasabi mong hawak na sila sa leeg. Lahat ng mga kontraktor ng mga makukulong is hawak na. 'Di ba? Nakita niyo yung kulungan, 'di ba? So ibig sabihin, malaya ng kontrolin ng kahit sino man yung mga kontraktor na yun. At ang masama dito, yung mga kontraktor lang nakukulong, yung sa DPWH at yung mga congressman, lalong-lalo na yung nasa palasyo, ligtas na sa issue. At kung ano-ano na nga issue lumalabas ngayon eh. 'Di ba? Meron pa kay Trillanes, kay Senator Bongo, 'di ba? Kay Congressman Pulong. So yung mga dapat na tuunan ng pansin ng ombudsman hindi na nangyayari. At yung pinangako niya na transparent at lahat pananagutin, bakit hanggang ngayon, si Saldico hindi nyo mapauwi ng bansa? Kung si Tebes nga, ang bilis nyo na aksyonan eh. Si Alice Goo nga, ang bilis nyo na aksyonan eh. Kay Pangulong Duterte nga, ang bilis nyo na solusyonan eh. Bakit dito, kay Saldico, hindi nyo magawa ng paraan? So, ano ba yan? Iisipin na ba namin na takot kayo kay Saldico? O may nagmamandulang sa inyo na wag hulihin or gipitin si Saldico? Ganun ba? Malay natin. So mga barateros, mga kabiyaya, nung may kukomento nyo dito sa bagong interview dito kay Martires, comment nyo lang po dyan sa baba. Siyempre, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe sa ating YouTube channel. May pindot na lang din po yung bell button para lagi kayo updated sa ating mga video araw-araw. Pakidamay na rin join button at super thanks natin dyan. At ayun, pakidamay na rin mga kaibigan ko na sila Banat Bay, Coach Oli, Boss Dada, Master Judea, paring RJ, Sir Jack, at syempre ako, Jay Gibara, at syempre si PH Update and Don Mar TV. So maraming salamat. Ingat po kayo palagi. God bless and peace and bye-bye.
Yan ang Banateros, walang inuurungan. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali ay babanatan. Yan ang Banateros, boses ng ordinaryong Pilipino.